Welcome everybody. I'm Reverend Divine. This is Reverend Liz, and we are your co-hosts, co-ministers of Unity of Fort Collins. This is an all-embracing community. We invite you wherever you are on your spiritual path, whether you're just taking your first baby steps or whether you've been on your path for years and years, aspiring yourself and others. This is a place that you can feel welcome and connected, that you make a contribution to the community at large just by your presence. So we're so glad that you have decided to join us today. And whether you're listening right here and right now, or whether you're choosing to listen at a different time, we are just thankful that you're here participating with that energetic field to raise us up as a community. And now I'll hand it over to Reverend Liz to share the announcements with you.
Thanks, Reverend D. So I just want to make a quick shout out, first of all, for last Sunday's, the men's group doing the painting of the foyer and the sanctuary. It looks fabulous, and we've noticed that it probably is going to need a second coat. So I think they're working on doing that in the upcoming couple weeks. And I want to give a great shout out because yesterday, Saturday, Leanne Gable headed up a team, and you might have been on it, who were out cleaning up the yard and making the flower beds and raking up leaves and just beautifying the property. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love all the things that are happening here. And as you know, we're coming up to a new month. May is right around the corner at the end of the week. And I'm saying that because there's something that we'd like you to know that we have here for you. You want to know what it is?
I do.
It's called the Daily Word. We have the new Daily Words, and it's for 2 months. It's for May and June. And we have the large print and the regular print. And if you want something to assist you in your meditations to start your day off, stop by the office. That's Monday through Thursday. Wonderful Julie, our office administrator, is here, and you could pick up a copy of the Daily Word for May and June. So we have some copies, and you want to get them right away. This would be the week to go ahead and start off the month of May with those.
She's here on Monday through Thursday from 9 to 12. So
I missed that.
Don't show up at 1 o'clock and get angry.
Okay. No. So all of our news and events are posted on the Unity of Fort Collins website under news and events. Upcoming events, we do have a council meeting that will be happening on the 16th, because we're letting Mother's Day people to be with their mothers. So Sunday, it'll be a Zoom council meeting on May 16th at 12 noon. We have our normal community connections that are happening today and every Sunday at 11 a.m. via Zoom. The Zoom link is found on the website. We also have Heart Talks on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. via Zoom, and we have Facebook Live meditation Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. So those are the things that are happening, but there's one more. And that one is beginning a new class, and it's starting on Tuesday, May 18th, and it's a 7-week class, and it completes on June 29th. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m., and it's based on the book, The Eye of the Storm, Embracing Conflict, Creating Peace. And, conflict isn't something that we like to embrace. In fact, we do our best, and I can attest that I don't like conflict. I'd like to find something else to do. But conflict is a part of life, and we can actually grow from it. The Eye of the Storm is written by Dr. Reverend Gary Simmons, a Unity minister, and he has profound teachings. There's exercises, things that we can do to develop a consciousness that serves us instead of being fearful, but to go for the conflict, to realize that there's possibilities that we would only gain if we moved into the conflict with understanding and tools. That's what I'm about. I want some tools. I want to know how to do this, because I tell you, the role models I had weren't necessarily the best ones. So I love to learn. I love to learn in a class. It is a Zoom class. Course tuition for the 7-week course is only $140. You can make payments, you can pay in full by sending a check to the office, drop a check off at the office in person, or you can do it on PayPal. There's a lot of options. And if you do any of those, please make sure that you put your name, your phone number, your email address, and the name of the class so that we know that that is going for that. We would be then sending you a Zoom link prior to the class. You will need to have the required book, The Eye of the Storm by Gary Simmons as well. So if you have any questions, want to know more information, check out the website or make a call to the office and we can get back to you about any questions you may have. So that's it, I think, for the announcements. And now we're going to turn to Reverend Divine for our opening prayer.
Thank you. And now it's our time to share in the unity blessing. The words will be up on the screen so that if you'll join me by saying them out loud, it adds a lot more potency when we do it together. Our unity centers us in light and peace, allowing us to recognize our God within and to radiate that love to the world.
It's now my joy and pleasure to introduce today's guest musician, whom is first time to be here with you at Unity of Fort Collins service. She has been a regular at the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe Truckee, one of my regular guest musicians. Her name, Emily Tessmer. And a little bit about Emily. Emily Tessmer is a veteran singer-songwriter from the Tahoe area, and she recently relocated to Amador County, where she and her husband and their son are enjoying the fresh air, tall trees, and the fresh musical opportunities associated with the wine country. Tessmer's most recent release, Earth Song, was released on the Blue Diamond music label and gives voice to the voiceless through song. The album features themes such as trees, whales, elephants, and the title track, Earth Song, is a call to action through community. Emily's instruments range from piano and guitar to ukulele, and of course her voice, which is a blend of Joni Mitchell, Sarah McLachlan, and Eva Cassidy. Her musical arsenal includes a wide range of covers spanning decades, includes a host of originals, and touches on the themes of love, loss, belonging, and earth justice. I think you're going to love Emily. So let's just welcome her and be ready for a gift. Thank you, Emily.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me today. I'd like to open with this song. It's called Protection Song, and I wrote it during the pandemic to remind myself that we are never alone, we are always protected, and that love is all there is. Archangel Michael to the right, Gabriel to the left,
Good morning. My name is Diana Swigert, and I'm a member of the Fort Collins Unity. And I'm reading the inspirational reading today from the Daily Word. I place my attention on the best aspects of life. My attention is a powerful tool I can use to focus my thoughts and feelings. When I place my attention on my many blessings, I live in constant awareness of everything for which I am grateful, all that is good in my life. Living in this state of gratitude keeps me positive and expectant that even more good, more love, more joy, more peace, more prosperity is on its way to me. As thoughts of gratitude fill my consciousness, my attention naturally goes to all that is beautiful and positive in my life. Soon, all worrisome and troubling thoughts are crowded out by the attention I place on my blessings, the goodness of the people in my life, the beauty of the natural world, and the love I feel for God.
This next song is called The Gloaming, and you'll find it on my Earth Song album. Daylight breaks upon my soul, so weary, and hope lives and breathes beneath the cold in the gloaming. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones that came before. Light up the sky with our wings around the hearts of man and the sacred ground. Oh, and underneath the bitter cold, a new day is dawning. Oh, angels outside my window, harken the morning. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones that came before. Light up the sky with our wings around the hearts of man and the sacred ground. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones that came before. Light up the sky with our wings around the hearts of man and the sacred ground.
Do you know the way to San Jose? Dun, 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 dun. How many of you know that song? Well, if you're of the younger generation, you may not know it. But Do You Know the Way to San Jose is a song that some of you might be familiar with. And I wonder, do you know who the artist is who sang that song? That's right. Divine knew it. It's Dionne Warwick. And what year was that released? 1968. So if you're familiar with it, you're one of my generation. I was 8 years old then. By Dionne Warwick. Do you know the way to San Jose? Well, actually, the talk title today is Do You Know the Way? And that's why To San Jose came into mind. But you might be more familiar with the phrase, where there's a will, there's a way. There's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? So the question is, do you know the way if you have the will? As you may know, if you've been tuned into any of our talks this last month, we've been focusing on the spiritual power or ability known as the will. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, was studying the Bible, the characters of the Bible, the places, the metaphysics of the Bible stories to see what they represented in their lives. And as he was studying the 12 disciples, he came to the conclusion that each of the disciples represented a spiritual quality or ability that we all innately have and use daily, except that we often don't know that we're using it or that we're using it unconsciously in a way that might not even be beneficial. So the question is, what would happen if we all understood these 12 powers or abilities and consciously used them? So in January, if you've been tuning in, we studied the power known as faith. That was followed by February, where we looked at love as another quality. Last month in March, we entered into the land of the imagination, that creative spark. And this last month, in the month of April, we've been focusing on the power called will. Now, the will is a part of our consciousness. Again, we're using it all the time. And Charles Fillmore had a goal, and his goal was that we would work with all 12 powers to activate them and learn how to have them work together for the evolution of our mind and our consciousness. Each of the powers offers unique gifts that help us to navigate the path of life. Charles Fillmore saw a close link between the power of the will and our powers of imagination we studied last month and understanding, which we will enter into in the month of May. Imagination was for him the ability to imagine or imagine ideas from the God mind, from the infinite mind, with our mind. We might think of the imagination as an antenna that allows us to pick up God thoughts and translate them into ideas or images. And then the will is when we tune into them and put our focus on them. We already have the power of the will. It's actually built into us, and it's up to us as to how to learn how to use it. So you may have heard that the power of our will is different than the willpower. Willpower is when you're willfully trying to make something happen. So it's a different idea that I'm trusting that you're open to looking at differently. It's said that the power of our will is our innate ability to direct our attention, intention, and energy towards a desired object. At the level of our body, we can use what is known as willpower to get ourselves to exercise, eat better foods, and do healthier things. Now, at the level of our minds, we can use the power of our will to turn our thoughts away from criticism, fear, anger, and redirect them towards appreciation, compassion, and connection. So there's a change of direction, and we direct through our wills. We can also use our will to direct our thoughts toward spirit. We can focus our attention on the divine and strengthen our commitment to that power that is breathing each and every one of us. Now, Divine and I have spoken in this month about the three components of will that are defined by Linda Martella Whitsett in her book, Divine Audacity. The recap, short little recap of it, is that one capacity is the power of choice. And again, choice is basically the will being able to choose or direct, decide. Now, you can have an ordinary consciousness or an elevated consciousness when it comes to choice. Under ordinary, everyday consciousness, you might have what is an underdeveloped will. What's an underdeveloped will? Well, that's the will that is indecisive, wishy-washy, unable to make a decision. I'm sure we've all had our moments where we've been wishy-washy, can't make a decision, hemming and hawing, and we kind of go back and forth. There's not a lot of strength in that will. Then there's the overdeveloped will, where that's more of the willful controlling. Like, have you ever heard of it's my way or the highway? Right? It's that mentality that says, I need to have it my way. And so it is an egocentric way of using the will. Then we can have what is known as the elevated consciousness. That's when we're choosing and directing and deciding based on the ideas and thoughts, principles and laws that are the divine in nature. They're life-affirming choices and always looking for the highest and greatest good for all beings. So that's the idea of choice as a part of will. Second part I spoke on a couple weeks ago was on commitment. And commitment is where you make a decision, a choice, and then you actually take action. It's about taking action on the choice that we make when we feel like it and when we don't feel like it. It's a commitment. It's I'm doing this regardless of how I feel. Because a lot of times when we're making a commitment, it's taking us out of our comfort zone. And so, because we're heading for something that we would love to have that we don't have in the moment. And last, Reverend Divine spoke last week on the difference between willingness versus willfulness. So willingness, just to redefine for you, because I really like the difference here that is written about. Willingness is the skill. It's a skill of realizing that you are part of and connected to the rest of the universe. Willingness is playing your part as best you can with what you have at this point in time. It's your willingness to actively participate in the cosmic process, allowing the world to be how it is, no matter what happens. And it brings a full participation in what is happening, what is mine to do. Whereas willfulness is disconnecting from the wisdom of your divine mind. It is the opposite of willingness. It is denying reality. It's wanting things to be the way we want it to be. And that's just it. It's very stubborn. And what we have to do when we're in that willfulness is go back to what is termed radical acceptance. To accept things that we don't like and it's okay not to like them. Radically accept that you don't like something and that you want something to be different. Accept that. Accept that things are the way they are. There is a big difference between being willing, versus being willful. When we are willing, life seems to flow, right? And it's divine flow. Willingness feels good. We live in the moment and we don't worry about the future. We trust uncertainty. That's a big word. Trusting uncertainty. It's all about trust. When we're in that willingness, we're trusting. And when we're not, we're fear-based and we have expectations and we want to know things right here and now. We lack trust when we're being willful. Ever experienced being willful and lack of trust? Well, learning how to be willing versus being willful can be challenging. For myself, I could think back when I was following in my dad's footsteps. I was 18, 19 years old, And I became the deli manager of a grocery store that he built from the ground. He was an entrepreneur of Luoma's Value King back in Geneva, Ohio. And my dad was pretty much more of the willful person. He did things his way, and he was a perfectionist, and it needed to be his way, pretty much, it seemed. At least that was my experience. And I followed in his footsteps. Hey, I was the deli manager, and I would look at things, and I had an idea of how it would be. And my 10 employees would come to me, and I would tell them how to do things. And, it really had to be in a deli, had to look good because presentation is everything and it has to be fresh. And then I discovered something. I was on a search when I was 19 years old. What is the meaning and purpose of life? In that search, and I won't go into that story, I discovered unconditional love as my concept of what spirit was. And I was so taken by that I changed. I changed in front of everybody's eyes. They would come to me and say, how do you want this deli tray put together? And I would look at them and go, whatever you think, it'll be great. You just put it together. And I think they looked at me and they were a little offset because I was just saying, I trust you. I had gone from controlling, being willful, I know what's best and do it this way, to trusting you can do it and you have the ability to do that. Now, I think that most of us have that as well. How many times do you want to control something, have something go the way you wish they would go, and knowing that you know best? Or are we willing to let go of the control and be more trusting? Willfulness is limited. Willingness is actually very unlimited. So that's the recap of the 3 components by Linda Martella Witzett in the book Divine Audacity, which is a study of all 12 powers, which you might want to pick up the book. Now, I'm going to move on to the study of will today as we conclude that study to what is known as our 6 mental faculties. One of my great teachers, Mary Morrissey, teamed together with Bob Proctor, and they put together a program which I have been authorized now and certified to teach called Interior Genius. And they said, most of us don't know that we have 6 mental faculties that are just as inherent as our 5 senses, which we all know our 5 senses like the back of our hand, and we use them and understand them. The 6 mental faculties are imagination, intuition, perception, reason, memory, and will. These are all capacities, just like the 12 powers, that we use daily, but use oftentimes unconsciously and oftentimes in a way that's not beneficial. So I'm going to share with you some of their studies. First of all, did you know this? When President John F. Kennedy asked Dr. Werner von Braun what it would take to build a rocket that would take man to the moon and simply and safely bring him back to Earth, he asked him what it would take to do that. Von Braun answered him in 5 words: the will to do it. The will to do it is what Van Braun's answer was. Now, I know we're all familiar with willpower, again, as some mental strength that we're going to make things happen. But that's not how the will works, according to Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey. They say that the will is a mental faculty that gives you the ability to hold one idea on the screen of your mind with the exclusion of all outside distractions. There's a lot of distractions in our world. I don't know about you, but I can be distracted like a squirrel. Squirrel. In fact, we often say squirrel. How do you stay on track? What's the power of your will? Now, just suppose you're in a situation where everything seems negative. The people around you, the situation, the circumstances are negative, and yet there's something you want to go for. How do you handle that? Well, We've all used the power of our imagination. What you do when you're in a situation that you want to have a different outcome is you start with the imagination. You build a picture, an image in your mind of what you would love to have as your outcome, as your result. What is the end picture? You want to be slim, trim, healthy? Do you want a beautiful relationship, love relationship, relationships with your kids, your family, financial freedom? You have that as your imagination. That's when then you move into the will, because the will is what enables you to hold that picture on the screen of your mind to the exclusion of all those negative distractions. And as you hold that picture longer and longer, it's actually deposited in what is the subconscious, because we have two parts of our mind, the conscious, but there's the subconscious. And what's really running us is the subconscious. If you've ever seen a picture of an iceberg, the top is the consciousness, but underneath is all of that subconsciousness. In our world, we're run by our subconscious. It's like the programs running in your computer. You can't see them, but they're there. So you want to hold that image, because what happens is it goes into the subconscious. And once it's into the subconscious, we automatically start taking actions and we start to vibrate at that level. Again, Bob Proctor says that the will gives you the ability to hold that picture to the exclusion of anything else. And that act is known as concentration. When you concentrate on the good that you desire, you've penetrated down into the depths of your subconscious. And when you do that, you actually create a passageway where the divine within you can flow back and forth into your consciousness. What you're really doing, Bob says, is that you're going to spirit or universal intelligence for the energy to create the image of the good you desire. Your will is holding the picture there. And you create this passage, the highway for that power to flow into your subconscious. You created a channel for pure, unadulterated spirit to move in and through you. So you build that power because you're going to the depths, and spirit is right here within us. So I want you to take a deep breath, close your eyes for a moment, and just take a deep breath. Now bring to mind the picture of the life that you would love to live, something in your life that you've been longing for, passionate about. What is it? And see an image, something that you would love to have, to experience or do. Now just see yourself imaginally moving in that picture. Now, keeping that focus, recognize that you're right now using a power that requires no force. It's something that actually appeals to you. It pulls you forward because you love that image. So it's fun. It feels good to dwell in that image of yourself, in the thing, having it in your mind. Now, know that as you do this exercise of this will, what will happen is that there are circumstances in your life that are unlike the image you're holding in your mind. But you need to remember this. You can never get to where you want to get from where you are. Again, I'm going to repeat that. You can never get to where you want to get from where you are. You can't get to your dream. It's actually impossible to get from where you are right now to your dream. You have to come from your dream. Get that? You have to come from the dream. You can't get vibrationally from where you are to where you want to be. You have to come from it. You have to be the vibrational energy of the thing that you would desire. You have to come from it. And we don't think or know that. We haven't been taught that. We need to become the man or the woman who has financial freedom. I am the woman who has the love of my life. I am the woman who is traveling and has financial freedom. I am the woman who is healthy and strong and fit. That's what Myrtle Fillmore did. She was the woman. She became the woman that was healthy, and her disease, it left because she came the vibration of gratitude, imagining herself in a healthy body. Her body responds. That's the law. This is how this works. The imagination is known as, basically can be seen as, the creative function, and the will is the centralizing principle. Its function as the will is to keep the imagination centered in the right direction when you have distractions. That's really what the will does. And concentration is the key. If you think about, like, a professional figure skater, let's say, they're out there on the ice and they're going, how fast are they going? Swirling and whirling. And then he throws the woman up and he actually catches her in the right way, in the right time. Well, how is they doing all of that? Well, there's distractions. There's things they could be thinking about. They could hear the audience, and yet they are so focused in the moment on what they're doing that their precision has to be. They're concentrating. You know, you think about, I was just cleaning out the garage yesterday and I had a hose. It's like taking a hose. And if I was trying to clean all the mud and dirt out of my garage, which I'm sure most of us in Fort Collins understand, if you have a garage, the mud from the winter. And if I was trying to do it on a light spray or the garden flow or whatever, it wouldn't ever get the dirt out. I had to put it on the jet stream and really just concentrate that spray, which would remove the dirt as I passed it back and forth. It moved it out. You think about the light in your room right now, whether it's a light bulb or it's sunlight. Again, another analogy. It's diffused light, but you take that light and you concentrate it. You concentrate it into a laser beam. That same light, energy in a concentrated form, can cut through steel. You think about it, it's concentration. So here's the question: how do we develop our will? Well, I'm going to tell you, where there's a will, there's a way. That's right, Andres. Where there's a way. So I'm going to give you an acronym for way. W-A-Y. Here's your way. First of all, W stands for work. You need to work the will muscles. Did you know that your will is actually a muscle? You have muscles in our minds, but we aren't taught that either. Just like your body, you want to get a stronger bicep or tricep or quads, you need to go to the gym. You need to work the will muscle. Okay? Mind is a muscle, and it takes time, it takes effort, it takes willingness. And here's the big one, and I talked about this, it takes commitment. It means when you don't want to go to the gym, but you're committed to getting in shape, you go, whether you feel like it, whether you want to. You make a commitment and you stick to it. So you do this. You say, I'm going to work my will muscle. I'm going to give you a couple will muscle exercises. You could get a candle, or you could even put one thing in front of you so that you stare at the candle flame. You stare at an object and you just stare at it. And you just look at it and you stare at it. And before long, probably a few seconds, something's going to come into your mind. You're going to think about something you need to do, something you forgot to say, something that you want to do. Our mind is like a jumping monkey. They call it the jumping monkey in the East. And how do you tether the mind? You got to train it. It is trainable. It's like a little puppy who wants to get up and run around all the time. And you're trying to teach them how to sit. You got to keep coming back to this sit. Come back to the flame. Come back to that which you're you're focusing on. It's a form of meditation, but it's a form of concentration. Your mind is going to wander. That's typical. But the more you use your will to coming back to this, it gets stronger. It gets stronger. It takes effort over time. Every time it drifts, that's okay. You bring it back to the flame, back to the flame. You can do this in many different ways. One of the things I do when I can't fall asleep is I count backwards from 100. Which is crazy, but I'm getting really good at it. And it's 100, 99, 98, 97, 96, 94, 93, 90. And I do that, but all of a sudden I notice at a certain number, I'm thinking about something else. And I'm like, okay, I got to get back. Where was I? And I just practice my will in that way. You can do breathing in and out, counting your breaths. Whatever it is, find something and make it a focus for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on this mantra. Our minds are like monkeys jumping about. Tame them. Give them direction. That little puppy that wants to run amok. Sit, sit, sit. Pretty soon, they've learned to sit. So that's your W. You're going to work your will muscle. A, in the way, is the A stands for a few different things. It's to acknowledge and access spirit. You know, we always want to go outward to find the answers to our questions, or who has the expert opinions and ideas. We go to others when all the infinite wisdom is within us. So A can stand for acknowledge spirit, access spirit through prayer. And our form of prayer is an affirmative prayer. We recognize that spirit is everywhere present. We remember that it's within us. Another A is ask the question and then get silent and listen. Spirit is not withholding anything. We withhold, we block. So the A, we're acknowledging and accessing spirit by affirming spirit is there in our prayers and asking what it is that we need to ask. And we then move into listening, which the Y in way stands for yield. Yield to the divine ideas and truths and not to the world of appearances. You know, when you go out to sea and you don't know how to swim, you need to learn how to swim, right? This is my analogy here. You got to learn how to swim. So you learn how to swim, but you're out in the ocean and you realize you need another skill. You need to learn how to swim underwater so that when the waves are breaking on you, you can breathe, you can navigate the waves, you can hold your breath so that you're not getting knocked about. You can go underwater, so you need another skill. So you're using your swimming skills on top of the water and you're going underneath the water. And then you realize that there is another new skill. It's knowing how to float. You know, floating is like trusting. It's about being willing to be guided. And if we don't learn to float, to become willing, we could actually panic and drown. Floating might even actually take us to the current, to the divine flow, and take us where we need to go. You know, we can still swim and take action, but we have to learn how to float and trust and yield to the divine that is guiding and directing us. Sometimes we get upset with things that are happening in our lives. But what if it was for the highest and greatest good? I don't know about you, but in retrospect, some of the worst things that I could look at in my life that I thought were the worst things ever actually were a blessing. So yield. Let us not be so willful, but be willing. And willingness that engages us with trust. To trust that which is breathing you and breathing me knows the way and is the way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Let us practice concentration. Let us use this mental faculty, this spiritual power, to guide and direct us. Despite all distractions, whatever that is, your picture of your life, hold that image. Hold it with your will. And we're going to learn more about understanding, which is another component next month. So I want to thank you for your time with us today. May the will be with you, and know that it is. Namaste.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is everywhere. And every thought's indeed a prayer. May the blessings of God rest upon me. May God's peace abide in me. May God's presence illuminate my heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
And now it's that special time, the prosperity blessing. I'd love if you'd share that by saying it with me. I personally like to hold my offering in my hand and put it to my heart. Whether that offering is your gifts, treasures, and talents of sacred seva, or your check, your PayPal, or your coin, it all contributes to our community thriving. So if you'll read that blessing with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
This next song is called The Great Divide. Together we stand, divided we fall. This is your land, and this is my land, and her land, his land. And oh, the river is wide, wider than the ocean. We have
Please join me in the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God unfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. The presence of God watches over us. I am that presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
This next song is called I Am Light, I Am Love. Feel free to sing along. I am light, I am love. I am peace, I am joy. I am divine. We are in the light of the one. I am light, I am love. I am peace, I am joy. I am divine. We are one. In the light of the one. I am light, I am love. I am peace, I am joy. I am divine. We are one. In the light of the one. In the light of the one. In the light of the one. In the light of the
Thank you, Emily Tessmer, my Tahoe sweet friend. Love you. Love your music. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tell Joaquin and your little precious boy we said hi. And to all of you that are watching and with us now, know that we love you. We carry you in our hearts. Know that we're looking forward to the day we can come back together. In the meantime, practice using your new skill. Practice using that will. I guarantee you'll be glad you did. It'll get you through the tough stuff. Thanks so much. We love you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.